Jambi, and the question here is, what challenges do you face at your workplace just as a woman, and not necessarily Standard Group per se, but just generally, what challenges do women go through when they're working?
I'd say I was brought up empowered by my parents. Go get the best education, perform the best, compete, you know, be on top of your class.
They never looked at you different simply because you're a girl?
No, until until you get to a space, especially where now I am a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm a career woman, you realize that there are barriers in society where you're like, okay, you're going to get your bread, but honey, the way our society is set up, you have to be the one to take days off for the baby being sick. You're the one who has to take days off when you have no nanny. You're the one to look for a space to just pump milk so that you can be able to make sure that your child has food. So there were these barriers that no one told us about. And what really struck me is that even here, it took having a woman in HR, head of HR, to get a baby for us to get a mother's station. You understand? So it takes having representation in the decision-making areas to be able to provide for people. For example, if I'm probably going to get a baby, is 3 months enough, for example?
Adequate for you to take care of that baby and come back?
Yeah, because no one talks about it. So in the career line, I think it's very important that also our duties, biological duties, are also put in mind when policies are being made. So
okay.
That's a big
Najma, what are some of the challenges maybe that you've gone through, just, you know, from the fact that, just by virtue of the fact that you're a woman who has to work?
I can say one of my biggest challenges was balancing work, being a wife, being a mother, and, you know, school. Some of us are still in school. And sometimes, you know, getting that, at the end of the day, you have that guilt trip. You're like, I didn't give enough time to my child. Today I didn't, and my husband. And then I didn't perform well at work or school. The cat, I didn't do well. So you guilt trip yourself every time. And that is one of my biggest challenges. So I decided to do like prioritize things and make a list. I say, like, if this month I'm going to have a cat on this day, I will focus more on school, and then I don't, my weekends are for my family. So I set aside time for each and everything that I have to do.
You have to be very deliberate in how now you operate.
Yes, yeah, everything is
and that's
planned.
an interesting thing you bring up, because I know many people probably don't even know it's a guilt trip that they have, but you forever feel so remorseful. I'm not able to perform at work. At the same time, I'm not doing my exams properly, or I have not shown enough love to my husband or the children. How do you deal with guilt trips? Because, I mean, for you had to get to a point where you realize, indeed, it is a guilt trip. But there are many who don't even realize that's what it is. They just think, I'm not doing well.
Yeah, even before I get to the guilt trip, Mike, I mean, women in general, we face a lot of issues at work. If you talk about one of the biggest elephant in the room, which is pay gap. And I'm not going to say that Standard Group is innocent on this. We have women and men doing the same responsibilities, but the woman somehow gets a lower pay. And when you try to, you know, to present your case, you'll be given all sorts of...
But you have HR here.
This message is for Standard Group and every other other organization that is guilty. And I think it's about time that women they get valued for the job that they do, not because they are women. You know, the other thing about women, we don't know how to negotiate. Yes, because when we negotiate, what happens is we feel like, you know, we are trying to be nice, and, you know, people will think that we are just greedy, we are after the money, and companies are taking advantage of that. Yes, and so for me, moving on, you know, International Women's Day is not just about, it should not just be an event for one day. We need to really think about all these issues that affect women. Things to do with sexual harassment, for example. Yes. How many times have women been sexually harassed? And because they really need that job, they need to pay rent, they need to take care of their children.